The Lord of the Rings legacy has continued on Amazon, and Season 1 ended with a surprise reveal of Charlie Vickers as Dark Lord Sauron. During last season's finale, we also saw the three rings of power, Narya, Nenya, and Vilya, the ring of fire, water, and air. Continue watching as we discuss Season 1 and the possibilities of Season 2. Will a new actor be involved after the big reveal? What did Andy Serkis think of the show? Firstly, the original series. Way before Amazon started its own version of Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, the filmmaker, created his own adaptation of the beloved fantasy books. Serkis was eventually cast as Gollum. Gollum, from Bilbo Baggins, first landed on Ring 1. This film franchise launched his career, and he ended up starring in other well-known blockbusters like Star Wars and the Planet of the Apes. Eventually, Serkis would return to the series. In 2012, he reprised his original role of Gollum for the movie The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. Secondly, Andy Serkis shared his thoughts. Andy Serkis plays Gollum, as mentioned in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. In the new series on Amazon, Serkis was asked his opinion about the new series. Serkis chatted with Collider about possibly narrating an audio version of Tolkien's The Silmarillion. During that interview, he, of course, was asked about his opinions of the latest installment. He had nothing but praise for the TV show. He said he found it incredibly engaging. He also shared that knowing a bit about where the story would go probably added to his enjoyment. He has previously recorded his voice for The Lord of the Rings and other adaptations. This is his full quote. "Yeah, I actually watched it, and it really, once you get through understanding the rules of it, and actually how loyal to the trilogy, and the feel of the trilogy music by Howard Shore for the opening sequence, etc., I found it incredibly engaging, and I really enjoyed watching it. And also, because I've done an audiobook recording of The Lord of the Rings and read the appendices and had to read them out loud, I was quite clued in about where it was going to go, which was great. And it was really helpful because I'm going to be, don't tell anybody, reading the Silmarillion as well, so you heard that first. Yeah, no, so I really enjoyed it very much." What's next for Season 2? The Rings of Power Season 1 has been declared one of the most expensive TV shows to be produced, but it also had an enormous expectation to live up to. Unfortunately, the fans had high expectations of the show's creators and expected a lot, considering how much it cost. They were very vocal and had some concerns. Before it even started production, the internet started talking. They picked apart everything, from the choice of actors they cast for particular roles to where they were going with the mythology. Well, most of these criticisms were unnecessary. A lot of people had an issue with some of the actors, particularly the actors of color. The more questionable choices were directed towards the pace and characterization of the show. Even though the TV show began rocky, it still ended up being quite successful after it launched. It was a very highly rated viewership for a presentation on Amazon, and now many of the fans of Season 1 cannot wait until Season 2. Sauron's identity was revealed, finally. The season laid the initial groundwork that showcases a larger story of Middle-earth and its history. This show can start to look at the wealth of Tolkien's lore. Now that Season 1 is done and fans seem to be impressed, we can move on to Season 2 and what it may have in store for us. Thirdly, Mithril's importance. Another relationship revealed how Mithril is the substance being mined beneath the misty mountains of Durin. The connection of Mithril to the story means that Khazad-dûm is vital to the Rings of Power. This mystical substance is important to the creation of the Rings of Power, especially for the Elven Rings. It was said that Mithril had the light from the lost Silmaril, which, as we know it now, embodies the power of the elves in Middle-earth. If the show continues with the dwarves and the men, Mithril will be used to create more rings. In the original Lord of the Rings, Sauron tends to create one of the rings, so he will, in fact, need more Mithril. While it may make sense to Tolkien's lore to have Sauron infiltrate Eregion through other means and manipulate Celebrimbor, this may be the catalyst of a war between the dwarves of Middle-earth and Sauron and Mordor. This direction will come from the showrunner's guarantee of bringing Sauron into the fold. Next, what is Sauron's purpose with the One Ring? The Season 1 finale hinted that Sauron wants the One Ring for his major plan. In the scene where Halbrand's nature is revealed to the audience and Galadriel, Sauron explains that he wants to bring together the lands of Middle-earth under one unity and bring back some order after Morgoth left the world in chaos. Serkis. Galadriel believes the opposite. Rather than uniting it, Sauron wants to rule. Sauron admits that there is no real difference. Having the One Ring will allow Sauron to control or connect the world. This One Ring has the power to dominate, as it can handle the other rings of power, except the Elven rings. And the Rings of Power, what happens to them? In The Lord of the Rings, 20 Rings of Power are created eventually. However, at least 3 have already been made, and will most likely be featured in Season 2. At first, the most obvious could be Narya, and Vilya may go to Gil-galad. However, it seems more likely that Nenya should go to Galadriel. The books tell how the elves hide who they are from Sauron, at least until the Third Age, so it is unlikely that the villain will get their hands on the rings in this series. However, there still could be a conflict between the elves and who should have them. Next, will Anatar be in Season 2? At the end of the last season, Sauron referred to what happened as a gift. This was an Easter egg. This word gift is used as a suggestion to Anatar, the cover Sauron used to take over Eregion in J.R.R. Tolkien's original movie franchise. There, Anatar speaks from the elves' Quenya native tongue to the Lord of Gifts, but Sauron doesn't adopt that infamous guise in the new season. The Easter egg reference of "call it a gift" may hint at a clue that Anatar may appear in Season 2. Interestingly, Sauron had to leave Eregion before he tried to influence the rings that ended up on the dwarves and men. Fittingly, Sauron knows the best way to get Celebrimbor's favor is by giving them gifts of knowledge, perhaps offering the clue for the Anatar alias. One of the showrunners, Patrick McKay, spoke post-finale about Season 2 and said a canonical story was the way to describe Season 2. He also admitted that the villain would be what fans are expecting. Even with Screen Rant, he mentioned, "We know Sauron takes on different shapes in this era, so maybe we're going to do those things." If that's not a clue, Sauron will get a makeover in Season 2, I don't know what is. Finally, will there be a different actor for Sauron? Charlie Vickers has been playing Halbrand and Sauron in The Rings of Power, even though he had the same face in the closing scene. This could change next season. Furthermore, in Tolkien's version, Sauron's identity wasn't revealed until the Rings of Power were all forged. Morfydd Clark's Galadriel has already shouted at her menacing suitor and cautioned Celebrimbor not to allow Halbrand to return to Eregion. Halbrand poses a significant threat to Elrond, but at least Elrond is aware of that, so it will be unlikely that Halbrand will interfere with Celebrimbor's maneuvers in the next season. Lastly, will Sauron pose a threat in Season 2? However, Sauron still poses a threat, as he can change form. In other words, Anatar will probably look different, and the Halbrand may resemble an elf more than a mortal. This will most definitely mean that another actor will need to be involved, since if he wants his plan to work, he'll need to look completely different. Another actor would be the way to go. Regardless of whether Anatar has a new face, Sauron could still take on Halbrand whenever his charm is needed. It's evident that Anatar will be the new villain in Season 2, or could it be a different character? Did the season finale shock you with the big reveal? What do you want to see in Season 2? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Please leave a comment below and tell us what you think.